What's up, guys? How you doing? Hope you're good. We are in a different location today, that location being my kitchen, because about a week ago I made some biscuits for a work function, and a lot of my friends at work liked them and wanted me to make some more for them to take home. So that's what I'm going to do, and I figured I would show you guys how to make them because they're really easy and they taste good. So why not? So the first thing you're going to want to do is preheat your oven to 425 Fahrenheit, which I've already done. Then you're going to want to get a decent sized mixing bowl. I probably didn't need one this big, but might move back now. You're also going to want a whisk or a fork or something to mix the stuff. Then what you're going to do is take 4 cups of flour, 2 tablespoons of baking powder, not baking soda, and then 2 teaspoons of salt, and mix them all together in that mixing bowl aforementioned. So let's do that now. They don't have to be really precise. I mean, they are biscuits, so they aren't the most complicated of things to make. And it doesn't really matter if you have a little bit of extra flour. Speaking of extra flour, though, you are going to want to set a little bit aside to dust your surface when you're rolling out the dough. Right, baking powder next. And then we're just going to need some salt. Now for this part, you really don't need the whisk, but I like to use it. I just feel like it gets it blended together quicker. I'm going to have to be very gentle whisking because this milk is about to spill. I don't know if you can see it, but it's pretty much up to the edge because I don't want to leave my entire gallon of milk out while I was getting ready, but my cups only hold 2 cups of liquid up to the rim, and I needed 2 cups of milk. So that's just whisk it until it's blended, or fork it, or whatever you want to do to it. Next, we're going to add in 5.5 tablespoons of butter. It's actually 1/3 of a cup, but I like to cut in the butter in little chunks because I feel like it's easier to mix in than just a big clump of butter in the middle. So I do it in tablespoons instead of having to like cut in little chunks of butter. You're just going to want to mix that together. If you're smarter than me, you won't try and make these on a little tiny island in the middle of your kitchen. You will make them on a sturdy counter and not have to worry about spilling milk, and probably make them a lot quicker than I am. So once that's mixed together into little chunks, you're just going to want to slowly add your milk. I like to do it about 1/4 of a cup at a time. Usually you don't actually end up using the full 2 cups of milk. It's just until it starts to form a dough that starts to pull away from the sides. You don't want it to be too sticky, but you don't want it to be too floury either. So just that perfect medium where it's just pulling away from the sides, and you can just handle it, but it's not, you know, too doughy. Since I don't have the access to many measuring cups at the moment, I'm going to just pour it in segments. So maybe a little bit more. All right, that should be enough to start. My cat is just sitting like right out of screen right there, just staring at me, hoping that I drop some dough, which is kind of adorable. once that's all blended together, you're going to want to take your chili powder, paprika, and mustard powder and put in about half a teaspoon of each of those. So and then once those are mixed in, all we're going to do is just very, very slightly blend them in just so they're incorporated throughout. You don't want to work this dough too much, just because then it won't rise as well. And we're just gonna gently mix that in. You could even just get in there with your hands at this point, just to get those ingredients incorporated, which I think is what I'm gonna do. Start my rings in my watch over here so they don't get all sticky and gross. And by the way, I did obviously wash my hands before starting this. Don't feel like I need to mention that, but maybe I should since I'm now fingering the dough. That's one way to put it. I'm actually going to put that in the sink. There we go. You might, if you're going to get in there with your hands, want to get some flour on your hands first, or else your hands will look like this finger. Only it'll be all your fingers, and it won't be fun. And as you can see, I could just pick that up out of there. It's not really sticking to the side, aside from a few little bits. And that's the consistency you're gonna want. Now I'm gonna actually leave that in there while I clear off this surface. You also might want to wear some protective garment, because you are gonna get covered in flour at this point. But I'm not going to, because I like to live on the wild side. Slap it down. And you're not going to want to knead it. Do not knead this dough, or else it will not rise very well at all. You're just going to want to flatten it out till it's about an inch thick throughout. And then we're going to cut it into little biscuits. So then you're going to want an ungreased baking sheet, and I have this nifty little donut cutter that my husband bought me for Christmas last year. Couldn't remember if it was for my birthday or Christmas, but it was for Christmas. So you're just going to want to cut it out. You could do this with any sharp object. Okay, I just slammed it against my hand. Obviously it's not sharp, but it's thin. It won't really work very well if you're using the rim of a glass or something like that. So you're gonna want something sharp that'll cut through, that won't push it together, because that's the next thing. Do not turn what you're cutting with at all when you're cutting this dough, or else it will not rise. It will not give you that flaky texture on the sides that you want. Just go straight down, straight up, as I will demonstrate now. And this should yield. If it doesn't come out right away, just sort of shake it. It'll come out. Okay, we're going to stop at 18. If you make it a little bit thinner, if I made them all as thin as number 18, then you would have gotten 20, but since I made them a bit thicker, they're a bit less. That's fine. So then you're just going to want to get that out of your way and plop them all on here. I like to put them closer together because I like the sides staying kind of pale. But if you want browned sides, you put them further apart. So I'm going to put them about half an inch apart, maybe a little bit less. Now, what I'm going to do before I pop them in the oven is I'm actually going to get out some paprika again. Just get some and shake it onto my hand and then sprinkle it onto each of them. We're gonna pop them in we're gonna start with 12 minutes. It can go anywhere from 12 minutes up to 15 minutes. It just depends on how brown you want them and what your oven does. All right, and then 12 minutes. And then while that's cooking, you can clean up or do whatever you want to do. Just make sure you're back in time to get them out so they don't burn. Only you can prevent biscuit fires. I just threw biscuit on the floor. Cool, I'm gonna clean now. I will see you in 12 to 15 minutes. Okay, so it's been about 14 minutes and my timer just went off, so we are gonna get them out now. They smell amazing, by the way. Then you're gonna want to let them cool, well, ideally on a wire rack, but I do not have a wire rack. So I am just going to lay out some paper and put them on here, some parchment paper, not just paper, and put them on here. But first I want to show you some of them. So there's my favorite one, I think. Look at that. I made that. I hope you enjoyed this video. Go ahead and give it a like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you get a new notification every time I post a new video. I hope you have a great week. Bye!